I always thought love meant sacrifice. That's what my mother taught me, what romance novels promised, and what I believed right up until the moment my mother-in-law smiled at me and said those words that changed everything. You've done your job. You can leave now. My name is Serena, and 6 months ago, I gave up my entire inheritance, nearly $500,000, to renovate my husband Trevor's family home. The same home I'm now being told I have no right to live in. Mom, please, Trevor said weakly, not meeting my eyes as I stood there in the gleaming kitchen I'd designed. Serena put everything into this place. Gianna's perfectly manicured hand waved dismissively. And we're grateful, dear. But the deed is in Trevor's name, as agreed. Family legacy must be protected. I gripped the marble countertop I'd spent weeks selecting. Trevor and I are family. We've been married for 7 years. Marriage is just paper, Gianna replied, sipping her tea. Blood is forever. The worst part? I should have seen it coming. All those little moments suddenly clicked into place. Trevor insisting my name couldn't go on the deed because of family tradition. The way Gianna supervised every renovation decision while calling me the help to her friends. How Trevor slowly removed my access to our joint accounts, claiming it was easier for taxes. Trevor, I said, my voice steady despite the trembling in my chest. Say something. He shuffled his feet, looking everywhere but at me. Mom's right, honey. We discussed this. The house stays in the Hamilton name. That was the deal. The deal? I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. I paid for everything. The new roof, the plumbing, the kitchen, and we're very grateful, Gianna cut in smoothly. Consider it your contribution to preserving a historic property. Now, when can we expect you to have your things packed? I looked at the custom cabinets I'd spent months designing, remembered the nights I'd stayed up researching period-appropriate fixtures, the weekends I'd spent directing contractors while Trevor played golf with his cousins. All my savings, all my dreams poured into these walls. You can't be serious, I whispered. Oh, but I am. Gianna stood, straightening her designer blazer. Trevor, darling, help your wife understand. The renovations are complete, and now it's time for you to start your family, a real Hamilton heir. My phone buzzed, a notification from the home renovation blog where I'd just posted photos of the finished kitchen. The comments were already rolling in, praising the transformation. If they only knew. I gave up everything for this house, I said, my voice cracking. No, dear, Gianna corrected, her smile never reaching her eyes. You gave up everything for my son. There's a difference. Trevor finally looked at me, his handsome face twisted with what might have been guilt. We can get you set up in a nice apartment, honey. Mom knows a great realtor. Cody, I finished. Your cousin, of course. Another Hamilton family member. Always a Hamilton. I walked to the window, looking out at the manicured gardens I'd restored. 7 years of marriage, and I'd never seen the strings attached to every gift, every opportunity, every moment of supposed trust. I'll need some time, I said quietly. Take the weekend, Gianna replied generously. Cody can show you some listings on Monday. As they left the kitchen, I heard Gianna murmur to Trevor, See, I told you she'd be reasonable. They always are when they have no choice. I waited until their footsteps faded before pulling out my phone. With trembling fingers, I deleted the renovation photos I'd posted just hours ago. Then I called my best friend Violet. They did it, I said when she answered, just like you warned me they would. Oh, honey, Violet sighed. Are you okay? I looked around at my beautiful prison, remembering the secret meetings I'd had with Benjamin, the private lender, months ago when I'd first suspected something was wrong. The paperwork hidden in my safety deposit box. The quiet preparations I'd made while playing the perfect devoted wife. No, I answered honestly. But I will be. You've been planning for this moment, haven't you? Violet asked, stirring her coffee as we sat in her tiny apartment kitchen. Far from the marble countertops I'd left behind, but somehow more comforting. Remember last Christmas? I asked. When Trevor forgot to add me to the holiday card and just signed it, the Hamiltons? That's when you first came to me. I nodded, pulling out my phone to show her the text I'd received from Benjamin that morning. Payment default confirmed, proceeding as discussed. Violet's eyes widened. So it's really happening? 3 months ago, I convinced Trevor we needed a private loan to finish the renovations. He was so eager to impress his mother with the finished house, he didn't even read the paperwork, just signed where Benjamin told him to. And the loan? Secured against the property. When I stop making payments, which I just did, Benjamin starts foreclosure proceedings. I took a sip of coffee, remembering all the little betrayals that led to this moment. Tell me everything, Violet urged, from the beginning. I closed my eyes, remembering the day it all started falling apart. 6 months ago, Trevor came home excited about buying his family's ancestral home. I was thrilled until Gianna showed up with the paperwork. And that's when they pulled the name trick? Trevor said it was tradition, that all Hamilton properties stay in Hamilton names. I laughed bitterly. But they had no problem taking my money, my inheritance, everything I had. The joint accounts? Gone. Trevor moved everything last month, claimed it was for tax purposes. When I checked yesterday, he transferred it all to an account I can't access. Violet reached across the table, squeezing my hand. You know this isn't your fault, right? They planned this from the start. I know. I found emails between Trevor and Gianna from before we even bought the house. They called it Operation Clean Break. They needed my money for the renovations, but they never intended for me to stay. My phone buzzed, Trevor calling again. I declined it, watching as his text appeared instead. Where are you? Mom's worried. Come home so we can talk about this reasonably. Home, as if I had one anymore. What's your next move? Violet asked. I pulled out a thick folder, copies of every document, every email, every transaction I'd gathered over the past 3 months. Benjamin files the default notice tomorrow. Trevor and Gianna will try to stop it, but they can't. The loan terms are ironclad. And the house? Goes to auction in 30 days. I smiled for the first time that day. Unless they can come up with $500,000. Can they? Gianna spent everything on maintaining appearances. Trevor's been living on credit cards. They needed my money because they were broke. They just didn't want anyone to know. Another text from Trevor. Baby, please, you're making Mom upset. We can work this out. Violet read it over my shoulder and snorted. Still playing the mama's boy card. He doesn't know yet, I said quietly, about the other thing. Violet's eyes widened. You mean the property records I found? The ones showing Gianna doesn't actually own the ancestral home outright? I pulled out another document. There's a co-heir clause. If it comes to light, it could tie up the property in litigation for years. Does his sister Clara know? Not yet, but she will. I checked my watch. Benjamin should be filing the default notice right about now. My phone exploded with notifications. First Trevor, then Gianna, then their cousin Cody. I turned it off. Aren't you scared? Violet asked softly. Terrified, I admitted. But you know what scares me more? The thought of letting them win, of being just another woman they used and discarded. So what now? I stood up, gathering my documents. Now? I stopped making payments on the loan they don't know I arranged. I watched their perfect world crumble, and when they're desperate enough to negotiate. Yeah? I thought of Gianna's smug smile, Trevor's weak excuses, all those years of subtle manipulation and control. Then I show them exactly what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. My phone lit up again, an email from Benjamin. Default notice filed, foreclosure proceedings initiated. Game on. The foreclosure notice arrived on a Tuesday. I know because I was sitting in my car across the street, watching Gianna collect the mail in her designer yoga outfit. Her scream echoed all the way to where I was parked. Trevor! She shrieked, waving the paper like a flag of surrender. Trevor, get out here now! I watched my husband sprint out in his expensive suit, already late for work. He grabbed the notice, his face draining of color as he read. My phone rang. Trevor's name flashed on the screen. I answered on the third ring. "What did you do?" His voice shook with rage. "Me? I didn't do anything. I just stopped paying the loan. You know, the one you signed for? That loan was supposed to be—" "What? A formality? Just like our marriage?" Gianna's voice cut through in the background. "Give me that phone. Serena, you ungrateful little—" "Hello, Gianna," I said calmly. "Having a rough morning?" "This is ridiculous," she spat. "We'll fight this. You'll what? Use your money? Oh, wait. You spent it all keeping up appearances? Use your connections? Funny how they disappear when they smell bankruptcy." A car pulled up to their driveway. Cody, their realtor cousin, practically falling out of his BMW in his rush to reach them. "We have a problem," I heard him say through the phone. "A bigger one than the foreclosure." "What are you talking about?" Gianna demanded. "I was looking into selling options. There's a co-heir clause on the property from your husband's will." The silence that followed was delicious. "That's impossible," Gianna whispered. "George left everything to me." "Not exactly," Cody replied. "There's a trust provision. The property, it's not as secure as we thought." I hung up, watching the drama unfold through my windshield. Right on cue, another car pulled up. Clara, Trevor's younger sister, who'd been kept away from family decisions by Gianna for years. "Is it true?" Clara demanded, marching up the driveway in her nurse's scrubs. "The house is in foreclosure?" "Clara, darling, now isn't the time," Gianna started. "Don't darling me, Mother. I just got off a 12-hour shift to find out our family home is being taken away. The same home you wouldn't let me live in when I got divorced." My phone buzzed with a text from Benjamin. "Court date set for foreclosure hearing. You sure about this?" "Absolutely," I typed back. Through my windshield, I watched the family implode. Trevor pacing, Gianna gesturing wildly, Cody shaking his head over documents, and Clara was walking straight toward my car. I rolled down my window as she approached. "I always knew Mom was toxic," she said without preamble. "But this is next level." "I'm sorry, Clara. I know the house means a lot to you, too." She laughed, a harsh sound. "You know what means more? Finally seeing her lose control? Did you know she kept me from accessing my trust fund? Said I had to earn it by staying in my abusive marriage?" "I hadn't known that." "That's horrible. Want to know something else?" Clara leaned in closer. "Dad's original will? There's more than just a co-heir clause. There's a whole ethical conduct provision. If any heir acts against the family's interests—" My eyes widened. "They lose their claim?" Clara smiled. "And guess who has a copy of the original will?" Back at the house, Gianna was now on her phone, probably calling every lawyer in town. Trevor had disappeared inside. Cody was still shuffling papers, looking increasingly worried. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked Clara. "Because you're not the first woman she's destroyed, just the first one smart enough to fight back." She pulled an envelope from her scrub's pocket. "Here's everything you need to know about the real estate trust. Use it. Won't this hurt you, too?" Clara looked back at the house, her childhood home, now a battlefield of greed and betrayal. "Some things are worth losing to gain your freedom. You taught me that." As she walked away, my phone lit up with a text from Violet. "You okay?" I watched Gianna sink onto the front steps, head in her hands, the foreclosure notice crumpled beside her. "Better than okay," I replied. "The house of cards is falling, and I haven't even played my best hand yet." "Blood over bond," Gianna's voice crackled through my phone's speaker. "That's what family means, Serena. You married in. You can marry out." I sat in Benjamin's office, playing the voicemail on speakerphone. He raised an eyebrow as Gianna continued. "We can make this easy. Drop the foreclosure, walk away with a generous settlement, or make it hard," her voice hardened, "and watch how ugly things get when you challenge old money." Benjamin stopped the recording. "She's desperate." She's threatening, I corrected, like she did at my wedding reception. Oh? She pulled me aside, told me I'd never be good enough for her son, called me a gold digger in front of the catering staff. I smiled grimly. Ironic, considering she's the one who took my gold. My phone buzzed, Clara sending another text. Mom's meeting with lawyers all morning. They're trying to find a loophole. Let them try, Benjamin said, reviewing the loan documents. These are ironclad. Your inheritance created a paper trail they can't erase. A knock at the door interrupted us. Violet entered, carrying a thick folder. You need to see this. She spread newspaper clippings across Benjamin's desk, yellowed articles from 20 years ago. What am I looking at? I asked. Gianna's history, Violet said. 3 marriages, 3 divorces. Each time she married into money. Each time the husband lost everything in the split. Benjamin whistled. A pattern? Trevor's father was the last one, Violet continued, the only one who saw through her. That's why he created the trust with all those conditions. My phone rang. Trevor. I answered on speaker. Baby, please, he begged. Mom's having chest pains. The stress is killing her. Funny how stress works, I replied. Did she have chest pains when she was planning to kick me out? That was different. She was protecting our legacy. Your legacy? I laughed. You mean the legacy of lies, of using people? Tell me, Trevor, did you ever love me? Or was I just another mark in Gianna's con game? Silence. That's what I thought. We can fix this, he tried again. I'll put your name on the deed. We'll... Too late. I nodded to Benjamin, who pulled out another document. Check your email. The local paper just ran the official default notice. Your perfect reputation? It's about to get very, very public. I hung up as Trevor started to sputter. Within minutes, my phone exploded with texts from mutual friends and his colleagues. Is it true? They asked. Did Trevor really steal your inheritance? Violet squeezed my hand. You okay? No, I admitted, but I'm better than I was when I thought I was crazy for suspecting them. Benjamin's assistant knocked, entering with a local newspaper. The headline made my heart stop. Historic family property faces foreclosure amid fraud allegations. It started, Benjamin said softly. My phone rang again. Gianna. You vindictive little witch, she hissed. Do you know what you've done? Trevor's boss just called him in for a meeting. Our country club is reviewing our membership. Our friends... Your friends, I corrected. The ones you bought with my money. I was a mother to you. No, Gianna, you were a predator, and now everyone knows it. I ended the call and looked at Benjamin and Violet, my real friends, the ones who'd believed me, helped me, supported me when I discovered the truth. What now? Violet asked. I pulled out the documents Clara had given me, the original trust provisions, the ethical conduct clause, everything that proved Gianna's manipulation went back decades. Now? I smiled. Now we show them what real family loyalty looks like. Clara's agreed to testify about the trust fund abuse. Cody's already talking to save himself. And Trevor? I looked at my wedding ring, then slowly slid it off. Trevor's about to learn that blood isn't thicker than water. It's thicker than justice. Benjamin gathered the documents. The foreclosure hearing is in 2 weeks. Perfect, I said, standing up. That gives them just enough time to watch their whole world crumble, one headline at a time. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a news alert. Local socialite accused of pattern of financial manipulation. Karma, as they say, was just getting started. Trevor lost his job today, Clara told me over coffee. The board didn't appreciate having a financial scandal tied to their company. I stirred my latte, watching the foam swirl. How's Gianna taking it? She's locked herself in the house, won't answer calls, not even from her country club friends. Clara's mouth twisted, though I doubt they're really friends anymore, not since the story broke about her past marriages. My phone lit up with a notification, another local news article about the foreclosure. The comments section was brutal, filled with stories from other people who'd encountered the family's manipulation over the years. "I need to get something from the house," I said suddenly. "Will you come with me?" Clara nodded. "Mom's at her lawyer's office all morning. Trevor's probably drinking somewhere expensive." The drive to the house felt surreal. My garden was overgrown now, the carefully tended roses wilting. A no trespassing sign hung crooked on the front gate, Gianna's futile attempt to keep gossip-seeking neighbors away. I used my key. They hadn't changed the locks yet. The grand foyer echoed with our footsteps. "What are we looking for?" Clara asked. "Closure," I replied, heading upstairs to what used to be my bedroom. The room was exactly as I'd left it, except for one thing. All my photos had been taken down, leaving ghost rectangles on the walls. I opened my old dresser, reaching behind it for the hidden envelope I'd stashed months ago. "What's that?" "Insurance," I said, tucking it into my bag. "Let's go." We were almost to the door when I stopped, turning to the kitchen. My kitchen. I walked to the trash bin and pulled out a framed photo I'd brought with me, our wedding portrait. "Really making a statement, huh?" Clara observed, as I deliberately placed it in the bin. "Sometimes the smallest gestures hurt the most." Outside, a car screeched to a halt in the driveway. Gianna emerged, designer handbag clutched like a shield. "What are you doing here?" she demanded, then saw Clara. "You two? My own daughter conspiring with this what, Mom?" Clara challenged. "This woman you tried to destroy? Like you destroyed Dad?" Gianna's face went white. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know everything," Clara said. "The trust fund you hid from me. The clause in Dad's will. How you manipulated every marriage. I protected this family." "No," I cut in. "You protected yourself, and now you've lost everything trying to keep your lies intact." Ariana's phone rang. She answered it, turning away from us, but I could still hear the conversation. "What do you mean you can't find a buyer?" she hissed. "The auction is in 2 weeks. No, you don't understand. We need this sale. Hello? Hello?" She stared at her phone in disbelief. "Problem?" I asked innocently. "You think you've won?" Gianna spun to face me. "You think destroying our reputation makes you better than us?" "No," I replied. "What makes me better is that I never needed to steal someone's life savings to feel powerful." Her hand twitched, like she wanted to slap me. "Get out of my house." "Technically," Clara interjected, "given the trust provisions and pending foreclosure, it's not really your house anymore." We left Gianna standing in her empty driveway, her perfectly curated world crumbling around her. Back in my car, Clara turned to me. "You know what the worst part is? She really believes she did nothing wrong." "People like that never do," I said, starting the engine. "They think their actions are justified because they're special, entitled, better than everyone else." My phone buzzed, a text from Benjamin. "Local news wants to interview you about financial abuse in marriages. Interested?" I showed it to Clara. "Do it," she said firmly. "Maybe it'll help someone else spot the warning signs before it's too late." I thought about the envelope in my bag, about the evidence I'd gathered, about all the quiet ways I'd prepared while playing the perfect, submissive wife. "You know what's funny?" I said as we drove away. "Gianna always said I wasn't smart enough for their family, wasn't strategic enough." Clara smiled. "Guess she taught you more than she intended." In my rearview mirror, I could see Gianna still standing in the driveway, alone with her schemes and her lies. "The auction's in 2 weeks," I reminded Clara. "Think they'll try something desperate?" I touched the envelope in my bag. "I'm counting on it." The courthouse steps were crowded with spectators when I arrived for the auction. Local news vans lined the street, their reporters eager for another chapter in what they dubbed the Hamilton House scandal. Benjamin met me at the entrance, briefcase in hand. "Ready?" "Born ready," I replied, straightening my blazer. Inside, I spotted Trevor and Gianna huddled with their lawyer in the corner. Trevor looked haunted, his designer suit wrinkled, his eyes bloodshot. Gianna's perfect makeup couldn't hide her desperation. "Serena!" Trevor called out, starting toward me. Benjamin stepped between us. "Any communication goes through counsel," he said firmly. "Please," Trevor begged, looking past Benjamin's shoulder. "We can match any bid you make. Just give us time." "Time?" I laughed. "Like the time you gave me to pack my things?" Violet appeared at my side, squeezing my hand. Clara joined us moments later, ignoring Gianna's glare. "They tried to get an emergency injunction this morning," Clara whispered. "Judge threw it out." The auctioneer called for attention. As we took our seats, I noticed Cody slipping in through the back door looking nervous. "The property in question," the auctioneer began, "will open for bidding at $450,000 Gianna's lawyer raised his paddle. $450,000. Benjamin waited 3 beats, then $495,000. The room tensed. Trevor whispered frantically to his lawyer. $500,000, the lawyer called. Benjamin smiled slightly. $525,000. Gianna clutched her designer purse, furiously scribbling numbers on a notepad. I knew what she was calculating: their remaining assets, potential loans, desperate options. $550,000, their lawyer said, his voice less confident. $600,000, Benjamin responded immediately. The room gasped. Trevor's face went pale. "Mom," he hissed loud enough for everyone to hear, "we don't have that much." "Shut up," Gianna snapped. She stood up suddenly. "This is ridiculous. That house has been in our family for generations." The auctioneer remained impassive. "Do I hear $625,000? Silence. $600,000 going once. Gianna's lawyer shook his head at her. "Going twice." "Wait," Trevor stumbled forward. "Please, we just need more time to arrange financing." "Sold for $600,000 to bidder number 7. The gavel crack echoed through the stunned room. Gianna's scream of rage followed immediately after. "You can't do this!" she shrieked, pointing at me. "That's our home, our legacy." "No," I said, standing up. "It was my inheritance, my money, my renovation. You just thought you were entitled to it." "Mom," Clara said quietly, "it's over." Security approached as Gianna continued to make a scene. Trevor just stood there, looking lost. "You'll regret this," Gianna spat as guards escorted her out. "You have no idea what you've done." I turned to Benjamin. "Let's go see my house." The drive to the property was silent. When we pulled up, I noticed something odd. The front door was slightly ajar. "Wait here," Benjamin said, but I was already moving. Inside, the house was dark. A noise from upstairs caught my attention. "Hello?" I called out. Footsteps. Then Trevor appeared at the top of the stairs, holding something. "Looking for this?" He held up an envelope, old, yellowed. My breath caught. "Where did you find that?" "Behind the drawer in Dad's old study. Where you hid it." He walked down slowly. "It's addressed to you." "Trevor." "Did you know?" he asked, his voice breaking. "When you married me, did you know what kind of family we were?" I shook my head. "I loved you. That was my only crime." He held out the envelope. "Dad wrote this before he died, told me to give it to whoever truly loved this house next." He laughed bitterly. "Should have been you all along." Before I could respond, he walked past me and out the door. I heard his car start, then fade away. Benjamin and Violet found me sitting on the stairs, staring at the unopened envelope. "You okay?" Violet asked. I looked around at the house, my house now, bought back for less than I'd originally invested. "Open it," Benjamin encouraged. With trembling fingers, I broke the seal. As I unfolded the letter, something else fell out, a key I'd never seen before. The first line of the letter made my heart stop. "To whoever finds this, there's something you need to know about the real Hamilton legacy." "To whoever finds this," I read aloud, hands shaking. "There's something you need to know about the real Hamilton legacy. This house was never meant to be a monument to wealth or status. It was meant to be a sanctuary. Violet and Benjamin sat beside me on the stairs as I continued reading. My wife Gianna has twisted everything I built into something ugly. She used this house to trap people, to control them, just as she used my son, Trevor, just as she'll use anyone who lets her. Clara appeared in the doorway, quietly joining us. The key enclosed opens a safe in the library's east wall. Inside, you'll find the truth about what this house was originally intended for, a women's shelter. My mother ran it secretly for decades, helping women escape situations exactly like what Gianna creates. Dad never told me, Clara whispered. I stood up, clutching the key. Show me the library. We found the hidden safe behind a loose panel. Inside lay more letters, photographs, and legal documents. Decades of history showing how the house had served as a secret refuge for women fleeing abuse. Look at this, Benjamin said, examining one document. Your father-in-law had already legally designated the property as a trust for a women's shelter. Gianna buried the paperwork after his death. That's why she was so desperate to keep control, Clara realized. If this got out... My phone buzzed. Trevor calling again. This time I answered. Did you read it? He asked. Yes. Did you know about this? Not until recently. Mom kept everything from me, controlled every story about Dad. His voice cracked. I found his original letters last month. That's when I started having doubts about what we were doing to you. But you still let it happen. I was a coward, he admitted. I've always been a coward when it comes to her. But maybe you can make this right. Do what Dad always wanted. I looked around the library, imagining what it could be again. I think I know exactly what to do. The next morning, Gianna and Trevor arrived for what they thought was a negotiation meeting. Instead, they found me with a team of contractors, measuring spaces and discussing renovations. What is this? Gianna demanded. This, I said, handing her a copy of her late husband's letter, is the house returning to its true purpose. She read quickly, her face draining of color. You can't. I already have. The paperwork was filed this morning. This property is now officially the Sarah Hamilton Women's Shelter, named after Trevor's grandmother who started it all. You're destroying our home, she screamed. No, Clara said, stepping forward. We're rebuilding it into what it always should have been. Trevor stood silent, looking at the contractor's plans spread across the table, plans showing how the mansion would be converted into safe, private spaces for women and children needing refuge. Dad would have wanted this, he said quietly. Gianna turned on him. How dare you? No, Mom. How dare you? You took his legacy of helping others and turned it into a weapon. He pulled out his own copy of the letter. I've already agreed to testify about everything, the financial fraud, the manipulation, all of it. You'd betray your own mother? You betrayed Dad's memory first. As security escorted a screaming Gianna out, I watched Trevor linger in the doorway. Will you be okay? I asked him. He smiled sadly. For the first time in my life, I think I might be. He handed me another envelope. Divorce papers, already signed. After he left, Clara helped me put up the first new sign outside the gates. Sarah Hamilton House, a safe place to begin again. My phone buzzed with a text from Violet. Local news wants to do a story on the shelter's history and revival. Ready to tell the real story? I looked at the house. No longer a prison of wealth and manipulation, but a beacon of hope, just as it was always meant to be. Yes, I replied. It's time everyone knew the truth about what real family legacy looks like. And this is our newest resident, Clara said, leading a young woman through the shelter's front door. Jessica, welcome home, at least for now. I watched from my office as Clara showed Jessica the same kindness I wish I'd found when I first needed it. The shelter had already helped dozens of women find their feet again, each success story a quiet rebellion against everything Gianna had stood for. My phone buzzed, a news alert about Gianna's sentencing hearing. She'd finally face consequences for years of financial fraud, not just against me, but others she'd manipulated. The photo showed her in standard prison attire, a far cry from her designer suits. "Serena," Benjamin knocked on my doorframe. "The foundation board is ready for you." I followed him to the conference room where Violet, Clara, and several community leaders waited. On the table lay a stack of applications from women seeking refuge. "The trust fund is officially secured," Benjamin announced. "Gianna can't touch it, even after she's released." "How's Trevor doing?" someone asked. Clara answered, "Better. The therapy's helping. He's working at a non-profit now, learning what real service means." "Speaking of service," Violet interjected, "we have a situation. 3 more women need immediate placement, but we're at capacity." I smiled, pulling out blueprints. "Actually, I have a solution. The East Wing renovation is ready to begin. We can add 8 more private suites." "How are we funding it?" a board member asked. "Remember that interview I did about financial abuse in marriages?" I slid over a stack of checks. Turns out a lot of people wanted to help once they knew the truth. Clara examined the blueprints. Mom would hate this, using her precious social connections to help the people she looked down on. "That's exactly why it's perfect," Violet grinned. A commotion outside drew our attention. Through the window, I saw Cody's familiar BMW pull up. He hurried inside, looking nervous. "Sorry to interrupt," he said, "but you need to see this." He handed me a folder. "Found these in my old files. More evidence of Gianna's schemes. There are others out there who might need help getting justice." I studied his face, the guilt, the hope for redemption. "Thank you, Cody. Would you like to join our legal aid committee?" His eyes widened. "Really? After everything?" "The past isn't as important as what we do next," I said, remembering my own journey. Later that evening, as I walked through the shelter's garden, my garden, now blooming more beautifully than ever, Jessica approached me. "Clara told me your story," she said quietly, "about how you turned your revenge into something bigger than yourself." "Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying what hurt you," I replied. "It's building something better in its place." My phone lit up with a message from Trevor. "Dad would be proud of what you've done with his legacy. I know I am." I didn't reply. Some chapters need to stay closed. Inside, I heard laughter from the common room where Clara was teaching a financial literacy class. Through the window, I saw women taking notes, asking questions, learning to protect themselves in ways I wished I'd known before. Violet joined me in the garden. "You know what I just realized? You never kept any of the money you won back. Everything went into the shelter. Money was never the point," I said, watching the sunset paint the old house in new colors. "This was about power, about taking something meant to cage people and turning it into a door to freedom." A car pulled up, another woman arriving, with nothing but hope and courage. Clara rushed out to greet her, shelter staff close behind. "Ready to help another one find her strength?" Violet asked. I thought about Gianna in her prison cell, about Trevor finding his own path to healing, about all the women who'd found sanctuary in these walls. "That's the thing about strength," I said, walking toward the new arrival. "Sometimes you don't find it until you help someone else discover theirs." The woman looked up at the house with tears in her eyes. "Are you sure I'm safe here?" I took her hand, remembering my own fears, my own journey from victim to victor. "Welcome to Sarah Hamilton House," I said, "where every ending is just a new beginning." And for once, those weren't just words. They were a promise I intended to keep.